I've been down there, been down before. You're so down every time you walk outside that door. I've been down, ooh, I almost drowned.
So you're making your way through music theory, and what did you say, you were like 12 now?
About 12, 13.
12, 13. What keeps you going at that time? I mean, is it constantly turning over a new leaf, or is it the pride that you see in your father's eyes, or maybe some of the frills that we talked about that come with playing music? What kept you going?
You know, a little bit of everything. You know, like seeing the pride in my father's eyes definitely was something that keeps you motivated.
Sure.
But also, you know, growing up in a place where you're constantly having to defend yourself, it kind of was an outlet for me. You know, it was something that, like, if I was angry or if I was sad or if I was happy, you know, I could put that into this instrument, you know, and it was unjudgmental to me. You could just put out whatever you feel on the instrument. And it went from trying to learn how to play, and this is something I think for every musician that's important. You go from learning how to play to learning how to express yourself. Mm-hmm. And then when it started turning into an expression, I was hooked. You know, I started writing my own songs. I started wanting.
I was going to ask, were you writing at that point or just kind of experimenting? You know?
Well, you know, a lot. I don't know how every other musician is, but for me, it seemed like the minute I picked up a guitar, I was writing. From day one, mm-hmm. It sucked, but I was writing something. I always wanted to be. I looked at a guitar as more as rather than an instrument, it was something for me to express myself.
Sure.
So from the first week of me playing it, I was already trying to write songs. I didn't even know chords yet, but I'm still trying to write, you know.
So the path for you was straight to original material as opposed to mm-hmm. trying to, I guess, play some of the popular songs of the day, or a little bit of both, or was it just writing your own?
Well, to be honest, it was writing. You know, I had no concern in playing someone else's music. I didn't really get into doing that until I realized that I have to make money if I want to keep playing music, you know, which is kind of sad, but yeah. But from day one, it was all about songwriting. I wanted to be my own artist. I wanted to blaze my own trail, and anybody who got in my way needed to get out of my way was kind of my philosophy.
And back then, what would you say your genre was? It was country blues-ish? I mean, is it the same now as it was then, or have you kind of changed over the years?
Definitely have changed. In the very beginning, it was straight rock and roll.
Okay.
It was, heck, in those years, I mean, it was Green Day, it was 311, it was Sublime.
So you were playing punk?
Yeah.
Okay.
My first band name was called Crotch.
Okay, well that's probably punk.
It's very punk. I was totally punk, man. I'm talking like dye my hair orange and go out there and stage dive. Like what really got me, the first thing that really made me go, whoa, about live audiences, I was at a Green Day concert mm-hmm. and Billy Joe like asked if anybody in the crowd, something he commonly does, asked if anybody plays guitar. Well, my brother at the time just like lifted me higher than anyone else, and this dude gets me on stage.
Nice.
And I look out in this crowd, and there are just thousands and thousands of people, and I'm like, I'm scared, but it's like, I am alive.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And like I start, like everyone asked me at the time, like, what did he say to you? They turned it into like, was it this magical mystery thing that Billy Joe Armstrong told you? Well, what he told me was, look, dude, I really hope you know how to play. The chords are G, D, and C. And I was like, yeah, I know that. And the dude he gives me the guitar, he does this to the crowd, and he kisses me square in the mouth. He's like, wah! And I'm like, and when I started playing and the crowd started going nuts, I knew from there, man, crowd applause and live audiences are quite addictive.
Yeah.
I was addicted, and I've been that way ever since.
How old were you when that happened?
Dude, I was like 14.
Wow.
I was a kid. I think that's probably why he let me get up, because I was just a kid. You know?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've seen the shtick before with other bands doing that, and I never stop to think what's going through that kid's mind. I mean, some of them, it doesn't really faze them because they don't really appreciate what they're looking at across the stage.
They don't.
But I can't even imagine. I mean, every hair on your body's got to stand on.
Oh man, it really was. It's like for weeks on end, I was just, you know, I was so freaking excited about that, and I never really got over it. To this day, I still think about it. I'm like, you know.
That's awesome. That coffee's not going to do it for you, I can tell you right now.
Nah, man, I done played in front of 80,000 people.
Right, your coffee's going to suck. That's funny. That's cool to me that your dad was encouraging, even though it wasn't his chosen genre. And honestly, not just musician, but people in general talk about not so much a generational gap, but just, I guess, a misinterpretation where we come out with our own preferences and likes, and the generation before us just doesn't understand it. It's not real music and all of this. But he was behind you 100%.
And he actually got a lot of flack for that. Like a lot of, because at the time, you know, like here I am in high school dropping out of school and stuff. Now I ended up going back, but I ended up dropping out and doing all this stuff. When a lot of dads would have been like, nah, man, go get a job and quit doing it. He was like, look, if you're going to do this, you can't do it halfway. He's like, because there's too many people out there, and there's too many people who are better than you.
Yeah.
He's like, you have to know that at this age. There are musicians on the street homeless that's going to outplay you out of the city.
Yeah.
And if you understand that, you're going to have to understand that there's a lot more than just your raw talent that's going to get you to make it. You're going to have to be a promoter. You're going to have to be a salesman. You're going to have to really push your own. You're going to have to understand the business side of music, or you're not going to survive.
How old are you that he's
He was telling me that at like 15 years old, man.
15 years old,
Yeah,
he's laying out with life.
He's laying out the birds and the bees in terms of a contract.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay.
Were you hearing him?
Let me say this. I'm hearing him more and more the older I get older. I was hearing what he said.
Yeah.
But at 15, how could you really know that
You don't understand
you're going to have
gravity.
to understand the business logic of music? All I'm thinking about is I want to play a bar chord and get laid. You know?
Right.
But nowadays, the more older I get and the more our business grows, I start hearing these words back at me, and it's like he was right, you know, from the start.
Yeah, it's one thing as a kid to go, oh yeah, no, I understand, and another thing to like make the mistakes that lead you to true understanding.
I think that's the only way to do it. I mean, the first inclination of me, at least, coming up was to blow off whoever was trying to give me that kind of real life lesson, you know, and then maybe you reflect on it some night 10 years later and you're like, that was Yoda talking to me in the flesh, and I was just blowing him off. That's amazing. But yeah, your parents' words come to life, and nothing is truer.
Yeah.
They just, maybe you heard it a little too early on, you know.
Yeah, I was really young, but it makes a lot of sense now.
But so you ended up going back to school, though.
Yeah.
Was that part of the life lesson too? He said get your diploma, or what?
Pretty much, man. You know, like I'd gotten into a lot of trouble at school and was basically like, get out of here, you know. But my mom was really kind of like, look, I'm totally in support of you being a full-time musician, and obviously your father is, but it would personally mean something to me if you at least got your diploma. Mm-hmm. So I went back and I ended up going to like Parkview Baptist, and I got my diploma and graduated, and then I was off to playing gigs.
Yeah.
Got the paper.
Got the paper, still have
Got the
it.
golden
You know.
ticket. So
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
I'm out of here, you know.
So that was it for you then, right after high school. And during the course of high school, had you started any bands on your own? Because up until now, you've only spoken about yourself playing.
Yeah, I'd had a band when I was in high school, and it didn't really pan out. You know, we were playing at like talent shows and stuff like that. We were quite awful. And but I had started a band. I was always in pursuit of building a band. But you know, I was doing that and doing a lot of solo stuff where I would just sit down with a guitar and try to sing, you know. So yeah, I would say in my high school years I had formed a band or two and was mostly just doing a lot of solo stuff as well. Mm-hmm. Nothing paying yet, you know. I was just trying to play anywhere I could. I'd play on the street corner for nothing if they would let me.
Sure.
Still will.
Did that suit you more, solo?
It did at first because at that age I wasn't the best at timing. So you got a drummer that's trying to keep time and a bass player that's trying to keep time, which is something you know a million things about. You know, it wasn't the easiest thing. Yeah, clappers, you know, but it wasn't the easiest at that age. So I like playing solo because I have my own sense of timing. But now I love playing with a band and all that, you know.
Yeah. I got you.
Subscribe now